Hi, I'm Laurie Wehring, and you're listening to Art Talks, the podcast bringing you news about the new Braunfels Arts and Talent industry during this COVID-19 pandemic. Each week, we'll feature Jason Irle, Executive Director of the Mid-Texas Symphony, Cheryl Fisher, Executive Director at the Brauntex Theatre, and we'll feature special guests representing local arts organizations to share how they're being affected and some messages of positivity. This week, we're welcoming Risa Miller, Production Coordinator, and Delia Saucedo-Milam, Marketing Coordinator from the Brauntex Theatre. So Cheryl, in a previous podcast, you mentioned that the Brauntex was going to bring back movie showings. That sounds so much fun. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what type of movies you'll be showing?
Sure, Laurie. Well, as all of you know, Brauntex was originally a movie theater beginning in 1942, and now we are primarily a live performing arts theater. So while we are waiting to open without restrictions, we thought it would be fun to start a film series this summer featuring classic music movies such as Woodstock, the complete version, Rolling Stones, Shine a Light, The Band, The Last Waltz, and more. We will begin the series in about 3 weeks, and exact days and times will go out next week.
Awesome, Cheryl. That sounds like a lot of fun, and I look forward to the Rolling Stones one. That sounds like it would be very interesting. So this episode is all about the Brauntex and its new season and whatnot. And Risa and Delia, thank you for being here. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And first of all, let's start with how's the theater and how are you dealing with all of this COVID-19 stuff?
Well, obviously we're having to move some shows around. So that's a little bit tricky because most of the artists that come here are also planning to go other places or they're coming from someplace close by. So since a lot of places cancel for different reasons or postpone for different reasons, some of the routing has gotten a little bit messed up. So if someone else cancels a show that's en route to us, then it means that the artist is really having to pay more just to come in and be with us. So canceling and rescheduling is not as easy as just saying, well, we'll do it on another day. We also have to consider other things. For Mandy Barnett, for example, she had 3 shows all together, and we were in the middle. So, rescheduling our show means she has to reschedule 2 other shows, and they need to be all kind of at the same time the next time. So it's a little bit tricky, and so that's what we're dealing with, juggling it around. We've also had different things happen every single day. As everybody knows, every day is different. So one day we might think, oh, we'll move the show from June into July and we'll be fine. But then we realize getting closer to July, that's not going to be so fine. Now we have to do it again. So that means the whole process starts over again. And it's kind of like starting from scratch every single time. And the whole time, of course, you have to remember the artist is losing money. So the whole time that we're rescheduling, they're sitting there doing nothing and making no money. And they were originally planning to get money. So, in addition to just the stress of doing the work to change everything, we're also dealing with people who are trying to survive, So that's how the pandemic.
Yeah, Risa, a lot of folks in our industry understand this, but a lot of people don't. That these concerts that you're postponing, you're actually that's a year of planning. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, from negotiating. It's not just pick up the phone one day and talk to this artist and then boom, you're done. You're off to the races. It's there's a lot that goes into that, and I know you're doing a lot of concerts now, and I can't imagine the logistics that are going into everything. But just so you know, from a marketing standpoint, from what I've seen, y'all are handling it very well and beautifully, and keeping engaged. So I want to talk a little bit before we get into the new season. You've got this season that you just launched, and then you have the marketing for it. Delia, can you tell me how production and marketing kind of work together to, put together the season and how you message it and put it together?
Yes. So, being a little bit newer to this industry, obviously Risa has been like pivotal to marketing and especially giving me the education and knowledge about artists and bands. So early on, Risa had the conversation with me about really understanding a band's demographic and getting in touch with their publicists and understanding, getting to know them a little bit better so that we can work a little bit better and they can share as much information as possible with us to, obviously better advertise for them and better sell their show. So that is just in regards to artists, but that's been huge. But for the whole COVID thing that's happening right now, obviously things are kind of a little muddy. Would you say? Is it a little muddied or something? I've been watching our statistics and our analytics behind social media, and this may be a little shocking, but everything that I have posted either about bands, music, or just anybody that is coming up or has come up in the past, a lot of it is getting no clicks. Like I'm not getting any feedback off of those. I think right now because of the whole COVID and the whole everything that's happening in the world, I think everybody's a little bit more focused on being a little more socially aware. And I think just creating content that is relevant to the time is so crucial right now. Creating content that people can engage with and people care about at this moment is definitely something that I've been trying to push a little bit more. Now, obviously, we can't lose sight of what we actually do here, which is live music and, performances. But I think being able to mix those in with each other and really playing one off the other is definitely crucial to social media and marketing, especially for bands right now as well. Keeping people's interest on our Facebook and on Instagram, on all social media platforms is crucial to the bands that are coming up. Because the minute people start losing interest in your page or in your social media content, they are the quickest to unfollow you, and that really impacts the bands that are coming into town for seasons or for anything. So.
Well, so now that we're here, let's talk about it. I mean, the new season. What makes it unique and exciting? What does it accomplish in terms of audience and cultural impact this new season?
Well, I think we have a nice blend to start out with, not just genre, but also to appease our base, our demographic, the people who are loyal, who come all the time. There are certain expectations that they have. They always want to see the Oak Ridge Boys, and they love to see Crystal Gale. Those are things that they sort of rely on. It has become a little bit for them. So we're satisfying that group of people, but we've also introduced some new stuff and some rock stuff and shaken it up a little bit. And we still have more to go. We've only booked the season launch for now. So we'll have some new surprises coming as we move forward. And of course, we're waiting to make some decisions on those things until we find out how the coronavirus affects what we've got already on the books. So that's what it looks like right now.
So walk us through the journey. I mean, in the artistic process a little bit. So, Risa, you sit here and you get this list of artists and you're like, okay, what do you do? Like, where does the inspiration come from? What are the pillars to which you build that season on?
Well, we start just by brainstorming on a lot of different things. We start by thinking what kind of billboard appeal does an artist have? And then we kind of look at their website and see what their popularity is like out in the world. Just kind of compare that to what we think will work with our community. Because the bottom line is our community is who's going to buy a ticket. So they can be real popular in other places in the world, but if they're not going to sell tickets here, then, that doesn't work. So it takes a lot of work between me and Delia. We do a lot of looking at data and the social media analytics and things like that. So it kind of helps us go in the right direction with an artist. Obviously, what they cost, I mean, that's a huge part of it too. Like, we have to know if we can afford to pay them and if our customers can afford to buy a ticket. So we have to think about that as well. We have to look at a lot of different angles to make sure that it's the right fit for us. We have put together a focus group to help us get like a magnified view of the community at large. And that's, while we've used it before, it was a smaller focus group, and we've sort of built a much bigger circle to that group. And we haven't used them a lot yet because we still have more work to do to get that process going. So moving forward, we'll be using that focus group a little bit more and see where that takes us. It might take us into a new direction, or at least into more than one direction, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So it's definitely a process, and you have to look at it. I remember my time at the Brauntex, it was always a data-driven process, and it's interesting to hear that it's sort of that same business philosophy going into that, several years later. So that's really good. So I'm going to put you and Delia on the spot here for a second. And don't be afraid, because I'm going to do the same thing. I want to know, which concert of the next season are you looking forward to the most?
Mine, that's a toss-up. So I'm looking forward to either Jim Messina or Jefferson Starship.
Oh, Jefferson Starship.
That's a toss-up. Jim Messina and Jefferson Starship for me.
Oh, I think Jefferson Starship is going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about that one. And I'm also real excited about Rockapella. Rockapella is going to be a good time. They're just fun, and it's a cappella, and I just think our folks are going to really enjoy it, I think. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also really looking forward to the local live series that we're working on currently. We are not divulging what it's going to be, but I'm excited about that too.
Risa and Delia, I'm actually looking forward to the Governor Richards play.
Yes. He is going to be so great. Oh my goodness.
I'm a big fan of Ann Richards. Being a political science, person, in my college years, she's fascinating and great leader, and I just really look forward to that, and I want that to do really well there. So, if you're listening out there, pick that concert or that performance. I think you're going to be really pleased and happy with it and whatnot. So one last little question before we wrap up here, and that is, for someone that's never been to the Brauntex before, what can a first-time patron expect to experience while attending a concert?
We were just talking about, Cheryl and I were just talking about this, and because we're seeing a lot of these live music venues opening up soon and quickly, and they're having these large concerts, but these live music venues obviously vary from, like, they're different. It's a different, not a different demographic, but it's a different setting. It's a different atmosphere, a different environment. The Brauntex is, obviously, we know it's a historical theater, and it's been in our community for years, but it creates an environment, a quaint, what do you call it? A quaint, not as
nostalgic.
Yeah, nostalgic. It's a quaint, nostalgic, intimate feeling that you get to sit down and listen. You get to hear the artist. It's very nostalgic, and I think that's something that's how we differentiate from all these other live music venues. We can offer that sit down environment where people can enjoy their time and can have a cocktail and can watch the artists and really actually hear them, and instead of all these like screaming people and standing in a hot room with no air conditioning. It's nice, it's classy, it's quaint, and it's intimate. I think that's something that that's a date night. That's a great date night for you.
Yeah, I've always compared the Brauntex to that Wrigley Field feeling that you get. No matter who's playing, no matter if you're a fan, if you just walk in, the ambiance, the feeling, the energy that the building gives off just is worth the price of admission alone. That's one of the most, I guess, inspiring things about attending a Brauntex concert or any event there is that you're always rooting for the home team, and that's a huge benefit to that. And Risa and Delia, thank you so much for being here, and we're looking forward to this season. And where do people need to go to activate? I mean, what can they do to go and learn? Where can they go learn about being a subscriber? Single tickets. What can we do to tell our listeners what to do?
You can always visit our webpage at brauntex.org to view our lineup and to view our rescheduled shows, because we still have tickets available for those. But follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, now YouTube. And we would love to connect with you that way. And you can always join our email list through those platforms as well. We have options to join email us through there. But if you ever want any more information about either our history or overview or what we do for the community or just our concert list, you can always go to our website again at brauntex.org.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate the information. Cheryl, thank you. Laurie, thank you.
So, Jason, I just wanted to mention one last thing. Being the executive director of the Brauntex and having actually Risa and Delia fairly new to the team, it is very obvious that the dynamics of a team actually create the success of the organization. And these two new members of the team have brought excitement, enthusiasm, exuberance, ideas, and creativity. And I just can't say enough about how much I value their resources and who they are and what they bring to the theater.
I totally agree. I was visiting with Delia the other day when I was actually buying some tickets to a concert, and Delia and I got into a really good conversation about, marketing and season ticket sales. And you've got a stellar team there, Cheryl. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Well, thank you. We're having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you again.
Yes, and thank you all for joining me today, and thanks, listeners, for joining us for Art Talks. We'll be posting new episodes weekly on Thursdays featuring local arts organizations. If you have any questions, you can email us at arttalks@mtsymphony.org. Thanks again for listening, and we'll be back next week.